Hello, everybody. Just give everybody
Welcome.
a few seconds, just a few
Oh
seconds
yeah,
to
I always
get the notification. Start. I know. I am always like running, jumping right down. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, hold
I
on,
want to
people.
jump onto YouTube and like look at it. Right, it's on our channel, right?
Oh
I'll
yes,
pop
yep.
it up while we're
If you
doing
go in
this.
the yeah, I know. I wish I.
Yeah.
I one thing I wish is that I wish I can see the chat because I'm the host. I wish you guys could see it in your vision as well. But I'll be popping up if there's any questions or comments. I'll be popping them
Oh
up
yeah, we
here
can't
on the
see it.
screen as
I
well.
can't see the chat. Hey.
Yeah.
Ah, bummer.
Well,
Okay. Okay.
hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Skills Hub on air, and I'm so excited to be welcoming Sebastian Croteau. Please tell me I said that correctly.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. You
Croteau.
nailed it.
Bonjour.
Bonjour,
Bienvenue. Bienvenue.
comment allez-vous?
Bien, bien. And you know what I do? I go bien y tú, bien gracias. ¿Cómo estás? I switch over, and then I'll go back to French, and then I'll go back to Spanish. Oh my god! And I don't speak either one well. Yeah.
Neither do I. Neither do I. So on top of being an amazing performer, Sebastian is also a SkillsHub.life coach. Everybody. So before we kind of get into all the questions that we have to ask you, would you mind just giving us a little bit of an intro about yourself?
You want the short version? uh, well, let's make it quick. I'm a metal vocalist by trade. I started doing metal vocals when I was 15 years old, so 35 years ago. I started to do that, and then I switched to Tibetan throat singing and Tuvan throat singing. I started dabbling into that for a few years, and then by accident in 2005, one of my friends was working for Ubisoft Montreal, and they were looking for weird sound for their monsters and Far Cry Instinct. So they actually asked me to meet with the audio director back then to consult at the beginning on what should be the sound for those creature, and I ended up doing my first video game back then, and then they asked me again to come back on Assassin's Creed 2 to record choking sound for 2 hours, because when you poison someone with a poison blade in Assassin's Creed 2, they actually choke.
Ah.
So I was paid to choke for 2 hours.
What do you do for a living?
Yeah. And then after they called me for Prince of Persia, and that was really kind of the start of my voiceover career. And then of course, like it's a small, like we're lucky in Montreal, we have a lot of video game companies here, so people talk among themselves. So the word got out, and so I was hired by Eidos Montreal to work on TV and then to work on other stuff. And I ended up doing a Marvel Guardian of the Galaxy, the video game. And at some point, I was like, okay, maybe this is something that I could take a little bit more seriously, because at the beginning it was just like sporadic, like it was once a year or twice a year, but not that much. So then I decided to create a company called the Monster Factory, which is basically what we are today. So we're an audio service provider. I'm also a talent agency, so I represent the voice talent that I work with. So we basically do sound creation, casting, voice direction, recording, sometimes sound design, but specifically for creature and monster, and for also sometimes human as well. You know, every time that there's in Dead by Daylight, for example, a character who is dying, screaming, like usually people come to us for that because we're trained for that specifically. And you said it, I'm a coach on Skills Hub, and I do a lot of workshop, and I travel quite a bit around the world to give conferences about extreme voices and creature vocalization. So that
So
was
cool.
the short version. Imagine.
Settle in, grab a book.
Yeah.
When we were talking before we went live, you mentioned something that I do want to touch base on. So on top of like building an international client base, you mentioned that you don't heavily rely on agents, that a lot of the work you get is from personal relationships you build yourself. And I remember you were talking about where you're going. It's like all over the world. So how did you kind of start building those relationships, especially on an international level?
Yeah. The thing is, again, I started here because before attracting any international attention, you kind of have, a portfolio to something to show people that, hey, I've worked on this game, this game, that game. So I was lucky enough because it's Montreal, and again, we have a lot of video game company. I was lucky enough to already have an interesting portfolio of games and project that I've worked with. Because without that, like I could travel all around the world, but if I don't have any background to show them, to say, hey, look, I've done this, and that, maybe my charm will work on them, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult because you have to have credential and experience, right? But for the rest, I started traveling 4 years ago, basically. My first video game conference that I attended, and I was also a speaker, was Nordic Game in Sweden.
Wow.
And immediately, because I remember after the talk, people line up to actually talk with me. And I was like, wow, okay, so that's really interesting, because instead of trying to book meetings with all the audio people, that I want to meet during those video game conferences, they actually came to my talk, sat down, listened to me talk for, 50 minutes. And then it was interesting enough so that they felt like they wanted to talk with me afterward. So right there was like, okay, maybe this is something that I need to do a little bit more, because, if people want to do business with people they know. Mostly.
Yeah.
So, and there's nothing like shaking a hand in person, like saying hello, but also spending time just chatting. And that's the thing, like it's before being a business relation, it's a relation first.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So sometimes just sitting down, chatting about whatever before, sometimes it's like, and sometimes it takes years before something happened, because video game development takes quite, a long time. Just recently, we announced we did voices for Zombie and The Walking Dead and Fortnite, right? I met Brendan and Nikki 3 years ago at Game SoundCon in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And it took that amount of time for that relationship to become to fruition, to become something that is more tangible in terms of contract.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
In that 3 years' time, how did you keep in touch? How did you keep the connection without feeling like you were being invasive or, overbearing?
Well, that's the thing. The trick is you don't have to be pushy, always trying to, because, you have to remember that all those people are already, contacted and bombarded by hundreds of people.
Yeah.
So if you're there every week to try and say, hey, hello, hey, I'm interested in working with you, hello. Yeah. At some point for me, it's just like, it's someone would do that to me, and I would be like, oh, not this person again. And you don't want that to happen. You want, so for me, it's more about, because again, I'm aware of the time it takes, for people to develop the game. And a lot of time, especially monsters and creature and the stuff, they do it after the regular voiceover stuff. They do it at the end, or sometimes it's really last minute. They say, hey, can you record like in 2 days or next week, because we forgot about that stuff and we need that. So it's more sending a reminder once in a while. That's one thing. But the second thing, like, this is why I go to video game conferences, is that at least once a year I get to meet them, to sit down, say hi. And the thing is, when you do the kind of route of video game conferences, you can meet them more than once, because those people will be at Nordic Game, but they might be at DEF CON, Gamescom, they might be at another one, or so that's the thing. The more they see you, the more you become part of their environment. Yeah. And if you're nice enough and you're knowledgeable enough and experienced enough, then at some point it can actually become something. Yeah. And you never know where it's going to come from. Sometimes I sit down and I talk to people in visual design. Like, I mean, I'm in audio. I should only target people in audio, right? Yeah. When I go, no. Sometimes it's just like people are coming in and we have a chat about visual creature design and stuff like that, and sometimes those people will recommend you,
Oh
to
yeah.
their audio team. So you never know, who's going to bring you something.
Yeah.
So you have to sit down and talk to everyone.
Yeah. So you're really just being human in those spaces. And so what I'm hearing you say is you just see them when you see them. You don't necessarily send them an email in between. You don't necessarily reach out and call them. You just let it flow.
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, because again, sometimes you don't want to miss an opportunity to work on a project.
Yeah.
So, but again, for me, I know that they're busy. Those people are busy. So if you're constantly in their face
Yeah.
and saying, "Hey, hire me," at some point, it might put them off.
Yeah.
Working with you, because you're just too pushy. For me, the relationship has to be natural and come to a point where it can conclude to business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't conclude to business, well, you just made more friends in the video game industry. That's it.
That's never a bad thing. In an industry you love, making friends there, that works.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad I asked this question because with last week, Gina Scarpa talked a lot about marketing and meeting people virtually. What I love is that you answered about personal relationships, like getting into the room, shaking people's hand. I kind of have two questions. So my first one is what would be your advice? Because I would always love to want to go to in-person events, but then I'd find out about it when it already happened and see everybody's pictures, on social media. How do you kind of like look for them? And when you get there, what is your number one method to connect with people? Meaning, I've heard back and forth about business cards do work, business cards don't. What's your method? Do you use a business card or?
Well, first and foremost, I use LinkedIn.
Ah.
And on my phone, as a background picture, I have the QR code of LinkedIn. So I don't need to open my phone every time, put the code. So I have it there so people can scan it right away and go to my LinkedIn profile right away. So that's one of the little tricks that I picked up. Last year, I remember, I think it was in Vancouver, because I do have business card. There's people who are always into business card, like myself, and always bring some. I made some magnets of the Monster Factory that sometimes I give to people as well. I have T-shirts of the Monster Factory. I always bring 20, 30 T-shirts that I give to people that I'm meeting, even though it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be in business. Like sometimes someone is nice and, hey, you want a medium T-shirt of the Monster Factory? Here you go. For me, it's part of the expenses. But with the business card last year, when I was in Vancouver for XDS Spark event, I wanted to give my business card to someone, but I wanted that event to be memorable. So I gave my business card, but I was like, here, that little thing, if you scratch it, there's going to be a monster sound coming out of it. And the person was like, really? So the person went on my business card and started to scratch it. And I went,
oh, that's funny. That's funny.
And believe me, that person remembers me.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Without the business cards. And the thing is, I never book wall-to-wall meeting. Because you have to leave room for the unexpected. And believe me, unexpected stuff will happen. Sometimes people will
especially with
meet
you around.
Yeah. No, but I mean, maybe you're going to meet some people and they say, hey, you want to grab dinner with us? Like, we're going to be a bunch of people. And so if you just book meeting wall to wall, you're not going to have that possibility to explore whatever might happen in those kind of events. So I always book a few meetings. I have a few people that I want to meet. And then for the rest, I just leave it open, to make sure that I have space for the unexpected.
Yeah. I have a question in the chat that I'm just going to pull up here. What events do you recommend for Canadian VO to prioritize for building their network? Maybe both of you can answer this.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn from Sebastian because I am notorious for I have free time. I'm going to go outside. So I would love to know these events because I'm dying to get connected to the Canadian community. I'm very connected to the U.S. community, but I really want to really invest up here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now we have CAVA, the Canadian Association.
I know. I'm
of
speaking
Yeah.
at CAVA tonight. Actually, Karen and I are speaking at CAVA tonight. We're doing
Oh,
the
yay.
AMA tonight.
So now we have, one association, because that's the thing. A lot of time people rely on their own union
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
organize
Yes.
whatever social life that VO can have, and they do sometimes give workshop and stuff like that. But it's a workshop. You're sitting there and you're listening. It's not conducive to discussion,
Yeah.
right? So you have to have events, and I assume that CAVA will have. They already are doing, social gathering on Zoom and on social media like that. But if you wanna, meet people that might give you work at some point down the line. For me, like the movie and the video game conferences, like in Toronto, there's XP Gaming that started, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. And there's always a bunch of people in audio there, so you might meet people that can introduce you to those people. And in Montreal, we have Megamix. The Megamix in Montreal, I think it's in October this year. So this is always a place where you can meet people in the video game industry as well. The thing is, there's not that many video game events. There's some on the eastern part of Quebec, I think in Nova Scotia, smaller events for video game. I don't know anything about the Vancouver scene. If there's probably events in Vancouver, but
There's a really good scene. Yeah, I haven't been able to connect with it yet, but I know there's a scene there. Yeah, and if people have it, can they throw it in the chat?
Yeah,
What they
if you guys
that'd
know.
be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To give you an example, Game SoundCon in Los Angeles, they actually introduce a rate for voiceover talent to actually be able to afford to go to Game SoundCon.
Love that.
So I remember 3 years ago, and last year when I went to give a conference there was way more people from the voiceover industry, like voice actors and voice actresses,
Yeah.
and people in localization, people in narrative directors and stuff like voice director. Because when you leave room for all of those people to come, they will come.
Yeah.
Because it's just building a good network and having good relationship with the people around. So in Canada, that would be it. But internationally, this is where, you can, if you try to keep up, like I try to keep up with all those events, like this is quite something. Like I was talking to you, Zelda, before we started this. I'm going to London for One Voice conference, right? And there's One Voice conference in Dallas. There was VO Atlanta, which I was there to give a workshop. Then right after, I go to Poland, to Digital Dragon. And in Poland, there's another event in October called GIC. Wow. So I might be there as well. And then I'm moving to Sweden for Nordic Game in Malmo. And then I go to Croatia for another video game conferences. And then after that, there's DEFCON and Gamescom in Germany, which is the biggest video game conferences in all Europe. So I'm going there. And then there's, Meet and Build, for example, in Belgium. There's Gamescom Asia.
Yeah.
There's the Tokyo Game Show. The Gamescom Latam. Who actually, I was supposed to be in Sao Paulo a few days ago, but I actually received my visa, because now you need a visa to go to Brazil. 3 days after I was supposed to leave, so I missed the whole thing. But I was there the last 2 years. Of course, this all comes at great financial cost.
Yeah. Oh, I have a technical question before you get into the financial cost. If one is not multilingual, let's say you're from North America and you've never excelled at speaking something besides English, how does that go for you?
Oh, I'm French, and when I travel, there's not that many people who speak French, so everything is in English. Like whenever you go to Sweden, to Germany, everyone can talk in English.
Okay.
Sometimes, with a little accent, like myself.
Yeah.
I'm French Canadian, but all the business is done in English. All the talks are done in English. So, if you can speak English, even sometime on a basic level, it's fine. So you can
That's
get
awesome.
around and meet people and introduce yourself and
Yeah.
so yeah. But on the financial aspect of things, just to give you an idea of how much it can cost.
Mm.
Last year, I was over $35
$35.
that I invested in
35,000 or
thousand,
35,000.
yeah,
Wow.
in traveling expenses.
Wow.
So
Wow.
hotel, plane, I traveled 98,000 kilometers, and that just the airplane. It's not the bus, it's not
So
the
you have the
Uber.
great status. You have the really good status on the airlines.
Yeah.
Almost like I'm boarding zone 2 now. I'm
Okay.
looking forward to board.
Okay.
That
Okay. You got to
zone
get the
1.
credit card that goes with the airline, and that bumps you up faster.
I'm
Yeah.
fairly close to have that. But the thing is, and again, when I saw the result of when I did the first video game conferences, I was like, okay, I need to invest more in that, and that is my almost my primary area of expenses
Mm-hmm.
now. Apart from computer, internet, and stuff
Right.
like that, that is where I spend the most money, because since I started to do that, I could see the return on my investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And again, sometimes it takes a while, but I could see short-term result based on
Nice.
that. And so this is why I'm like, I'm
Let's
trying to
go.
come back to the same
Yeah.
event, and I'm trying to go to new one. Like I've been invited in September to go to New Zealand video game conferences.
Ooh.
I was like, yeah, and they're paying, because that's the thing. 95% of the time, you have to pay for your own plane ticket and hotel fees. They're only giving you, for example, a ticket to attend
Yeah.
the whole event.
Yeah.
Only the smaller one sometime will cover hotel expenses,
Okay.
or sometime half of the airplane fee.
Okay. Okay.
So that's, but you're not receiving money. If you ask for a fee, like I'm a speaker, can I get paid for that? That's not going to happen.
Interesting.
So you have to sacrifice at the beginning quite a bit.
Yeah.
To
And then
return at
after
the
that,
end.
the problem is you have to maintain,
Yeah, that makes sense.
rhythm.
That
Yeah.
totally
A lot
makes
of
sense.
budgeting. Yeah.
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 Wow. I'm gonna just highlight some comments in the chat before we get to a little fun game. From Bill. Oh, hi,
Hey,
Bill.
Bill.
Hey, Bill.
How's it going? Hey.
Hi, Bill.
Bill is magic. Bill is our dev who has made SkillsHub happen.
Yeah.
SkillsHub is me, Jennifer Hale, along with my sister Karen Duyella and Bill Reed.
Hi, Bill.
Magic
Hello,
Bill.
Bill.
Call him Magic Bill. Can we read
Take-
this one out loud? Yeah.
Taking
go.
classes with Sebastian awakened a curiosity for creature vocals in me and gave me confidence to actually try these extreme vocalizations for myself while lowering the risk with my voice. Aw,
Yes,
thanks, Adam.
But I love that comment, because it's all about the joy of exploring what you can
Yes.
actually do with your voice, because what we use every day is
Yeah.
very limited
Yeah.
compared to what we can actually do with it.
Could we, Isolde, I'm throwing you a curveball. We may not have time for this, but I am dying to coach with Sebastian. I'm dying to learn some things. We started in music the same time. I started singing in rock clubs when I was 15. And this thing is out of shape right now. I'm doing so much like admin and so much stuff, and I'll jump in for a session and I'll realize how out of shape I am, or I pick up my guitar and I'm like, oh my God, I need Sebastian. So if you were going to walk me through one exercise right now, what would it be?
Ooh.
Now I'm going to stand up because I can't do this sitting down.
So one exercise for a specific vocal effect, something that
To be able to, like, I don't know, yeah, give me an example. Test me on something, and then you show me how to do it real quick.
Okay,
Just like
all
a
right.
1 minute example.
so there's one exercise that I give people, specifically when they need to warm up for screaming.
Yes. Okay, give me that.
So and I'm not asking people to scream. That's the thing. If you look at the mechanism of a scream, you have the regular movement of the vocal fold, but on the outer edge of the vocal fold, you have let's say a chaotic movement from the vocal fold to create a distortion. The thing is, you can actually practice that mechanism, but in a safer environment.
Yes,
So
please.
the exercise that I'm going to give you is,
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to try and mix vocal fry. So that, exactly. And you're going to try and mix a whisper, kind of,
Just like that's holding a note though.
Yeah.
That's like a whisper.
Not that breathy. You can actually go.
Is that it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the result, what you want to be able to achieve. And again, I just wrecked my voice for 2 hours, so I don't know if I'm going to do that. But it's a mix between vocal fry and a pitch. So. So it's not totally vocal fry. It's not totally a pitch. It's really a blend between the two.
And you have a harmonic in there.
Yeah. Actually, it's a subharmonic, but the subharmonic generate its own series of harmonic or overtone
So
on top.
vocal fry. Okay, and then how do you add emotion to that?
So when we're not talking about emotion, we're just talking about
This is just a warm up.
just triggering exactly. And the thing is, what you did at the end is you
different.
actually started to kind of close, to squeeze a little bit the larynx. This is something that needs to be totally relaxed. So
Oh.
yeah. Almost.
Hard to do.
It is, and I didn't tell you that at the beginning because I didn't want your brain to be biased, but it is actually the most difficult exercise that I'm showing to.
It's really hard, yeah, because I'm so used to applying force.
Yeah,
So my body's my neurological system, if not my muscles haven't fired this way, but my neurological system is ready for, but my body. So if I go, like completely relax it out. I got some harmonics in there.
yeah.
That was
But
interesting.
that's the thing. Like when
Yeah.
you stabilize the movement,
Ah,
you can hear it and you can feel it.
okay. Oh my
So
God, I
it's
want to do
really
this all day.
subtle. For me, like when I do it, it's so relaxing. It's like someone is giving my vocal cord a massage. Like
It's like yoga.
Yeah.
But you're practicing the balance between tension and airflow. And working with a voice is all about fine tuning,
Yeah.
what you do with the vocal fold tension and the airflow.
Oh
So
my
this exercise
God.
for me is really good for that because again, when you are screaming,
Yeah.
you will use, that kind of vocal effect,
Mm-hmm.
but faster. Everything will vibrate faster. So,
Oh my God. Okay, I can hear how that did not shred your voice. And you know what I realized? That whole little exercise we were doing, normally I am jamming, this is warm water, like bordering on hot. I am totally like pouring this down my throat the entire session. And I felt zero need for it till I was like, oh, I think I'm a little thirsty. Like it wasn't for survival. A totally different
Wow.
approach. Yeah.
The thing about vocal distortion is that people think vocal distortion equals tension.
Yes.
Not at all. And the thing is, we're actors and actresses, right? So when we are in the studio and we
Yeah.
scream, we put our whole body and we have
Yeah.
all this tension
Yeah, it's
That
it's
is-
all like,
that is absolutely unnecessary.
oh
And
my
I-
God. I
and-
want my
and
money
for a
back.
and for a reason, because the thing is, in our, let's say that something were to happen to you in real life and you need to scream. So you're going to have laryngeal narrowing, you're going to raise the larynx, and it's going to
Yes.
be all tense.
Yes.
And the thing is, you could never sustain that, for a long time. So the thing is, when people apply that to voiceover, they can do that a bit,
Yeah.
but it's not. And we've all heard about the horror stories of people losing their
Oh, yeah, I know
because
people.
of the sound.
Yeah.
So, and that's counterintuitive because when you're an actor, you want to hack. But specifically for this sound, one of the first things when I don't have the time to train properly someone,
Yeah.
I say concentrate on the tension, concentrate on the sound, and don't go into like like right into that because you're not trained for that.
Yeah.
So think more about to do it in a way that is comfortable
Yeah.
than trying to get into it, because when you try to get into it, it's if you're not properly trained, it's not going to be sustainable
Yeah.
at all.
Interesting.
At all.
That's so cool. Oh my God, I can't wait to book time.
But
with you.
I will try one more. All right.
Okay,
so,
okay.
so another one to trigger ventricular phone. So let's say that you are a racing car. I'm a racing car.
Okay.
And I go, meow.
Okay. Meow.
Yeah. Meow.
Meow.
Yeah. So that's the thing. You're either activating ventricular folds or epiglottis fold, because sometimes they almost have the similar sound. But that's one thing that you can actually expand.
Yeah. That's one of my favorites, is that one.
But let me ask you a question. When you do that, is it hard to project?
Yes, very hard to project.
So you're using epiglottis fold. And that's the thing with epiglottis fold. They're not designed to project. So you need to go on ventricular folds in order to be able to project.
Oh my God, I'm scared too because it feels like it will hurt.
Don't do it. Because by default, you're using epiglottis fold. So if you're trying to project, by default, you would try to project with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like somebody just showed me my feet and I realized I don't know how to use them, but I've been walking my entire life. It's why and I also feel like at the same time, like, besides the fact that I suddenly don't know how to use the feet I have, there's a treasure box if I can just learn how to walk. Yeah. It just feels like that. Yeah. Okay. I didn't mean to sidetrack us, but I was just curious.
Good.
Yeah.
No, but that's why with vocal effect, because I perfectly agree that as actor, everything we do is acting.
Yeah.
But the thing with creature voices and with vocal effect is before being able to act with them, you need to be able to produce them.
Yes.
And to sustain them. And then you can play with it. So it's basically learning how to walk before running.
Yeah.
Learning how to shoot a ball before you go try to be Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing with creature and monster is that the vocal effect is intimately tied to the identity of the character.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can no longer sustain the vocal effect, you can no
lost the
longer
character.
sustain the character.
Yeah.
And the character is gone, and no amount of acting skill will actually help you there, because let's
can't
say
make
you
the
do
sound.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've had that
You
happen. I've
cannot
done
do the vocal
sessions.
effect anymore.
Yeah, when I go into a session, if I multiple characters, some games I have recurring characters on a couple games, I will look at, okay, I'll order them in the order of least stressful to most stressful vocally, because if I start with the most stressful, it's going to totally change how I sound for the rest of the
Absolutely.
4 hours.
Absolutely.
And I'd love to have that not be the case. Oh my gosh, I've got to make time for this. Okay. All right, Zelda, you have a plan.
All good. Okay. I'm actually really glad that we did this, because now we're going to start a little game. It's invented by Karen. Hi, Karen, if you're watching this. So this is what we call Beauty and the Beast, and it's just a quick little fun improv game. So how this works is that you're just going to say one simple line, welcome to SkillsHub.
Okay.
And I'll start with one or the other, and I'll begin with a prompt. So our first prompt is Beauty and the Beast. We're going to switch this up a little bit. Okay. So Sebastian, I'm going to ask you to say welcome to SkillsHub in your most princessy-like voice. And then Jennifer, I'm going to have you do welcome to SkillsHub in a beast voice. So we'll start with that. So Sebastian, why don't you start?
Welcome to SkillsHub.
Welcome to SkillsHub.
I need a tissue for that one. I slobber everywhere.
Perfect. So now we're going to switch. So Jennifer, you can do princess voice, and then Sebastian, you do the beast voice.
Now, is this Princess Morbucks or Disney Princess?
Ooh. I'm going to let you pick for that one.
I'll go traditional. Welcome to SkillsHub.
Welcome to SkillsHub.
I love that rattle in that thing.
I love it.
That is epiglottis vibration.
I want to learn
You can
that.
actually use also the epiglottis to make
I want that.
Okay, so next one, you're going to be, this one's a little specific. It's a teapot on its way to Mars, and it's steaming mad. So Jennifer, we're going to start with you.
I have things to draw on. Give me a second. I keep going to the water because I'm a teapot.
Welcome to SkillsHub.
feel calmer now.
Welcome to Skill. This is kind of the Matt Prince.
So fun. So fun. I love that one. I love that, Sebastian.
This is why I use vocal effect. Like for regular voiceover stuff, I'm not good.
Oh, yes, you were.
Yes,
you don't get to say that. You
Yeah.
don't get to say that. Sorry. I haven't seen the not good yet, but I'm not worried about it.
Okay, and last one. Okay, this one's so Sebastian, we're gonna start with you. I would love welcome to SkillsHub as a gentle unicorn.
Okay, gentle unicorn. Welcome to SkillsHub.
Oh, I love that.
Oh.
I love that.
Okay, last one. Jennifer, you're gonna be doing this as a wolf eagle horse tree.
That's a curveball.
Well, she in one of our episodes before,
callback.
yeah, it's a
A wolf, eagle, horse. Let's see. Oh God, my mind just went. This is my response. Okay.
Welcome to
Skills Hope.
wonderful.
that up.
Yay!
Why not? I made it up so I can tell you if it's right or wrong. It's right.
For context, Sebastian, we had a VTuber on, I think, 2 episodes ago, and that's what she wants her avatar to be, a wolf, eagle, horse tree. So now we know.
I was like, I don't know. Somebody make that happen. Artists in this world are brilliant. Let's see what they come up with. Yes.
Yay!
Oh my God.
If I receive a demand for that,
Yes.
you know,
What would
to
you do?
my
Yes.
company, I'll send it to you. I'll
Please
send
do.
you-
Send it right
I'll
here.
send
Send
you
it
the
right
casting
here.
call.
I am the world authority on the wolf, eagle, horse tree.
Oh, I'm so glad we got to do this. Sebastian,
This
thank
is
you so
great.
much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. This is so much fun. This is so knowledgeable. Where can we find you?
Everywhere.
On a plane somewhere. On a plane. In our
Everywhere.
Skills Hub coach catalog.
Yep.
And nowhere. No, but of course you can find me on SkillsHub if you're looking for a vocal coaching for a creature voice effect and stuff like that. So I'm there. Other than that, we have our website, themonsterfactory.com. So I can be reached out through the website there as well. And I'm on social media, but I don't take, and that's one of the things, like when you want to contact people, maybe Instagram is not necessarily, sometimes you can find some people, but this is why for me, like I mostly go on LinkedIn because this is professional. So trying to reach out to people through social media, you can do it. But for me, I'd rather have the proper channel, like on the website, you can send me a message there. So that's usually where I try to channel most people. Like go to the website or go to SkillsHub if you want vocal coaching. And we have a YouTube channel. We just actually released a video about vocal health with a voice therapist called Karen Esposito. So it's almost close to 1 hour video about vocal health. And we did release a bunch of their smaller video about warm up and stuff like that, more for extreme voices. So this year we have a couple more video about different things related to the voice that we're going to be released. So go on your YouTube channel, subscribe. It's there, but that 1 hour video about vocal health is actually quite something because again, it's done by a voice therapist who has 20 years of experience working at the NHS as a voice therapist and and as a vocal coach. So go there, see that. It's 1 hour of very interesting stuff.
Fantastic.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for tuning in, and be sure to keep an eye out for who our guest is next week.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Zelda.
everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Sebastian. Bye.
Bye.